Assalamu alaikum. You're tuned in to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we'll be talking today about life, love, and business. And today is our first series on the women of the Bible. And we're going to tackle Sister Mary Magdalene's image and bring her to life and invoke her spirit so that you get some motivation from it. So sit back, get your coffee. I got me some chai tea, and we'll see you in a few. Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings. You're tuned in to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee. And I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people. Yes, sir. You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself. Yes, sir. There will be a great separation. Yes, sir. So I said, it is on now.
The college is meant to prepare you for your future. That the time dictates that if we don't do something for ourselves as a people, we will be destroyed. And the aim of the enemy right now is to take us out.
We have God with us. We have Him as our guide. Yes, sir. We don't have to stand around here and ask the question, what must be done? Yes, sir. Get up and let's go and do something. Yes, sir. We cannot sit down. We cannot lay down. Yes, sir. We must get up. Yes, sir. And go to work.
Do you know what real joy is in life? Visioning something and bringing it into reality. That's real joy. Do you know what the next step in joy is? Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity.
Tonight, you need to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to hear from some of the greatest minds in the world. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of trusting our future and the future of our children into the hands of those who don't love us. I believe we need to revitalize black leadership.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Sister Sajdah. I want to tell you all about our Sajdah House summer tours and fundraising events. Because you are a friend of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum, you are being given a unique sneak peek into this sacred renovation and restoration. The house remains under construction as we inch closer to the finish line. We appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you this summer. So click the link in the bio or just go to Eventbrite and search Sajdah House Summer Tours and Fundraising Events. Assalamu alaikum, family. Happy Saturday. Y'all got y'all tea? You got your coffee? Let me know in the chat what you over there sipping on. And welcome to the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business. This is the beginning of a series on the women of the Bible. So I thought we'd have some fun with that. I just love spiritual talks in the morning over a hot cup of coffee or some herbal chai tea. That's what I got this morning for myself, a little herbal chai. And that's what I seek to replicate here on the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks. So if you enjoy these talks, please like and subscribe to the Sajdah Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel. You can do that right now. Hit the notification button so that you get notified whenever we go live. All right. And if you enjoy these talks, please support. You know what? Let me tell y'all this. I got a little hate DM this week that said, "Why do you do this? Don't nobody watch it but you and your mama." I laughed and I said, "Devil, guess what? That's a weak attempt at sabotage, because I would do this if nobody was watching. In fact, I was doing it when nobody was watching. So I thank Allah for all of y'all and for my mama." My goal is to really have these coffee talks air every morning, where some mornings I'll have guests over for coffee or tea, and we'll have elevated conversations among civilized people. So I'm working on that, like a daily coffee talk, right? That would be fun. Let me see who we got over here in the chat. We got Sister Charlene Muhammad. Oh, and she said, "I look beautiful. All praises due to Allah." My mom says she's sipping on water. Thank you, Mom. They said don't nobody watch this but me and you. This is probably some haters we know, huh? Brother Lamont, welcome. Thank you all for being in the chat. I got this QR code going on up here in the top. Well, it's my top right. Might be your type left, but y'all see the QR code. That's where you can use that QR code to book your summer tour series. They are starting this Friday. And those of you who are volunteering, we will have us a little meeting coming up real soon. So in particular, this talk is to help us to remember the promise during the process. Somebody put that in the chat for me. Remember the promise during the process. As I prepared for this talk this morning, I came across a sermon from my sister, Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts, where she talked about remembering the promise during the process. And I thought about how appropriate that topic is in conjunction with our conversation about Sister Mary Magdalene this morning. Sister Sarah touched my heart. And because we go through things, sometimes we get so caught up in the process that we make a God out of the process and forget all about the promise. We get on the phone with our friends and family and regurgitate the pain of the process, and we forget all about the promise. We start to worship the process, make it a God, and the next thing you know, we find ourselves vibrating, right, in harmony with the process instead of the promise. Yes, we have to figure out how to navigate the process, but while we are navigating, we have to focus on the promise more than the process so that our vibration matches the promise instead of the process. Y'all know what happens if our vibration matches the process? Well, we get stuck on a hamster wheel. We just get stuck in the process. One of the rules of manifestation is that you have to focus more on the promise than the process, because when your vibration matches the vibration of the promise, you will draw to you elements of the process that will help you walk right into your promise. You'll look up and you'll be standing right in your promise. So don't forget about the promise of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad of money, good homes, and friendships in all walks of life. Don't forget about his promise of the rewards of our transformation into civilized men and women. I think about our sister Mary Magdalene and what she went through during her life and how her memory has been trampled since her death. I want to receive her memory today. I want to revive her memory today. And I want to bless her soul today with this discussion. I want to invoke her spirit of service, her spirit of dedication, and her spirit of love and commitment. The most beautiful thing about our sister was how much she loved Jesus. Her love for him is palpable and contagious. So contagious that they just said, we got to write her out of the whole situation. I want to help Sister Mary Magdalene come to life as a real live woman today and a prototype that we all can follow. So, okay, I see y'all popping in the chat. Welcome, Sister Aletha. Okay, so what we're going to do first, we're going to look at a little short clip from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad Table Talks, where he talks about his idea for the progress of the Black woman. All right, so give me a second. I'm going to take myself off the screen once I find it. Here we go. And is this it? No, that's not it. This is it. Okay, here we go.
I have in mind, I want to make some committee, you know, that will go here and there.
Yes, sir.
Not in one place, but anywhere in the world that I appoint.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I will proceed them with the help of Allah,
Yes, sir.
and He will go before.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I could take a committee of these sisters and send them to China, anywhere,
Yes, sir.
and the people would come out in respect.
Yes, sir.
Because what I teach the woman,
Sir.
no other man have ever taught it. Because no other man knew it.
That's right. That's right.
So that she reigns queen
Yes, sir.
in the nation wherever she goes.
Yes, sir. That's
And
right.
people begin to admire so that they go following, trailing.
Yes, sir.
They get a glass to look at.
Yes, sir.
Never seen a woman train like this. But I
That's
touched
right.
my train.
Yes, sir. That's right. That's
And-
really beautiful.
And it upholds you.
Yes, sir. That's
You
right.
lean upon
Yes,
it.
sir.
Rest upon it.
Yes, sir.
And see it's winning for you.
Yes, sir. Making
And you
history.
always then want to go
Yes, sir.
and show the world what you have.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Well, the more that you follow yourself in the training,
Yes, sir.
the more you love it.
Yes, sir.
So you're not forcing yourself to do something that you don't like.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yes, sir.
You like it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then give you a new style and of dress
Yes, sir.
that the world have never seen. And the first thing they go to again amazed at your new style.
Yes, sir.
Then they listen to you talk later.
Yes,
sir.
They are amazed you got them solid.
Yes, sir.
When you just present yourself before them. They never seen a woman dressed like this. Oh, good.
Yes, sir.
That's beautiful. You guys are going to have to go back and check that out. I see a few people in the comments, people giving the greetings and things like that. So we're going to move on into our program about Mary Magdalene. But I want us to remember his promise to us. And as we go through the process of becoming a God, that's what he's talking about. Some people are so caught up in femininity. They said, what do he mean by training? He means training us up as women to be gods, not goddesses, but gods in the image and likeness of Almighty God himself, that we will go here and there or anywhere in the world that he directs us. The people will come out and respect us and marvel at our minds, our beauty, our style, our dignity. Our paths will be illuminated because where we go will be in the footsteps of Almighty God Allah and his Christ who will precede us. So anyway, let's get into this about our sister, okay? Today we're answering the question, who is Mary Magdalene? We are striving to tap into the powerful love energy of Sister Mary Magdalene. Somebody type her name in the chat, Sister Mary Magdalene. You see, Sister Mary of Magdala was a keenly focused woman who held the essence of Jesus in her heart. She carried him wherever she went. He trusted her and she relied on him. She is more prominent than most of the disciples. Did you know that? Sister Mary is mentioned more than half of Jesus's disciples. So of the disciples, half of them, she's talked about in the Gospels more than them. You see, being named matters. If people are writing about Jesus and they mention your name, that means you matter. My mother said something to me so powerful one day. I stepped into a private room to speak to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And afterwards, she said to me, it's one thing to know Jesus, but it's another for him to know you. Now, don't trip. I'm not making myself of extraordinary importance, but for someone to write of Jesus after he is no longer present and mention your name, that means you matter. Sister Mary is mentioned more than half of Jesus's disciples. And more than that, many who are mentioned are not distinguished by their personal names. You see, many are mentioned as a description, like the lady by the well or the blind man. But Sister Mary is mentioned by name more than a dozen times. This indicates her significance, despite attempts to dim her light or make her insignificant. You see, history matters. So many of you have done many great things, but you are being made to seem insignificant to those who come behind you. That's because, just like Sister Mary Magdalene, there may be a conscious attempt by people who are either envious and jealous of you or who are just plain disrespectful of history to make sure that your name is not mentioned. But Sister Mary was so significant that they had to mention her. So she knew Jesus. Jesus knew her name. The people around them were envious and jealous and competitive, but she remained steadfast. And she kept teaching and she kept loving. It is more important to her. It was more important to her to follow the way of Jesus than to stop and deal with her haters. They attempted to write her out of history. They slung dirt on her name, called her all kind of stuff, and dragged her reputation through the mud. And the dirt and the mud is what got passed down through the annals of history. Well, we're going to dust that dirt and mud off today. She was so significant that they couldn't even mention Jesus without mentioning her name. Y'all all right? Peace and blessings, everyone. Y'all all right? Okay, I'm going to keep going. We got a lot of information. I'm going to take a few commercial breaks today to give y'all time to digest all of this. I hope by now you're starting to feel our sister, okay? Matter of fact, let's take a minute now and let's go to a quick commercial and we will be right back. All right, y'all, we're back. Thank you for keeping that chat popping. We're talking today about our sister Mary Magdalene. How do we know that she was significant? What also makes the followers of Jesus significant? What makes the followers of Jesus significant is oftentimes the order in which they are named by writers of the Gospels. Almost every time a group of women are mentioned, Sister Mary Magdalene is mentioned first, just the way Peter is often most mentioned first among the disciples. This also can indicate significance to writers and even leadership, either an appointed leadership or leadership as a byproduct of her being a key witness, a supporter, a follower, and a disciple. She is often denied the description as a disciple or an apostle, though many scholars demonstrate that she was that and then some. So let me give you a few references in the Bible where our sister is mentioned so that you can go back and study on your own, okay? Some of these I'm going to give them. I want y'all just type them in the chat. Okay. The first set of scriptures is related around the fact that Sister Mary Magdalene is mentioned as the first witness to the resurrection. The first witness to the resurrection of Jesus. And in the book entitled The Meaning of Mary Magdalene, written by Cynthia Bourgault, all four Gospels identify Sister Mary Magdalene as having been the first witness to Jesus's resurrection. And they all single her out individually in this role. So type this in the chat. The passages related to this are Matthew 28, verses 1 through 10. Matthew 28, verses 1 through 10. Mark 16, verses 1 through 11. Mark 16, verses 1 through 11. Luke 24, verses 1 through 11. And John 20, verses 1 through 18. And in case y'all are a little slow, let me go ahead and put this. Let me drop this in the chat myself. Because I know y'all going to be in a minute going, wait, what? Okay. So of these four, John is the most extensive and dramatic. And I'll let you read for yourself how our brother John bore witness to Sister Mary. Then, in addition to her prominent role in the resurrection narrative, 3 of the 4 Gospels also specify that Sister Mary Magdalene was a witness to the burial of Jesus. Let me drop those specific citations in the chat. You got Matthew 27:66, Mark 15:47, Luke 23 verses 55 through 56. Let me put those in the chat for y'all. This is for y'all to go back and study, okay? Now, we know that Jesus did not die on the cross. So whenever they had a burial for him, whether it was a real body or not, Sister Mary was there. That's another subject for another time. But all 4 Gospels either directly mention or allude to the fact that Sister Mary Magdalene was present at the crucifixion. This was mentioned in Matthew 27, Mark 15, Luke 23, John 19. Put those in the chat again. Again, this is for y'all extra study. Type in the chat if y'all doing okay. Give me a thumbs up. Now, in Matthew and Mark, the emphasis is on distance, both physically and functionality. Matthew specifies and says it like this: the women watched from a distance, and that they have followed Jesus from Galilee and saw to his needs. See, Sister Mary Magdalene was singled out in this passage as belonging to this group, together with Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's sons. In Mark, the parallel passage reads like this: there were also some women watching from a distance. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary, mother of James the younger, and Josette and Salome, who had followed Jesus when he was in Galilee and saw to his needs. This is significant because a lot of times they don't think that we matter enough as women to even be up in the pulpit. but she taught as she traveled with Jesus. She was like part of that advanced team. What did she do that made her so significant? She was clearly a leader empowered by her own resurrection and transformation. She herself had been resurrected and transformed. She was one of the dead. And Jesus cast demons out of her and gave life to her. She preached and went from city to city, like part of his advance team, preparing food and warming the people up before the disciples arrived, paying for things so that Jesus and his entourage could move around and spread the gospel. This was a sister that did that. It is documented that she is among a group of women who financially supported Jesus. Check out Luke 8, verses 1 through 3. I'm going to read that one. After this, Jesus traveled about from one town and village to another, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom of God. The 12 were with him, 2, and also some women who had been cured of evil spirits and diseases. Mary, called Magdalene, from whom 7 demons had come out, Joanna, the wife of Chuza, the manager of Herod's household, Susanna, and many others. These women were helping to support them, meaning the disciples, out of their own means. Somebody type in the chat, out of their own means. See, Sister Mary came from means. She had the ability to support and follow Jesus at a time where a lot of women couldn't pick up and go follow Jesus, even if you had the money or not, because you had obligations. And on top of that, you probably lived in a household that was run by your father, who may not have allowed you to go. But Mary, Sister Mary, went. It is not mentioned that she is married to a man with means, like they said about Johanna, or that she was the manager of a household and went to the temple after she got off work, or permission from her boss, or even that she came from a wealthy family. She was a minister, a disciple, an apostle. There is just mentioned that she had means and that she used her means to support the work of Jesus. You could say she and her spiritual sisters, who had also been healed by Jesus, financed the movement. And it appears that she, Sister Mary, was the vanguard out front. And then there was the famous alabaster jar. Some scholars say that she was not the woman who anointed Jesus's feet with oil. I don't know if this is more haterism and an attempt to discredit her for being of such beautiful service to Jesus. The woman who anointed Jesus with oil was described by some as Mary of Bethany. Mary of Bethany was also described as a woman of sin. But many scholars say that Pope Gregory of 591 AD conflated the two women when he threw dirt on Sister Mary's name by reducing her to the label of prostitute. Pope Gregory of 591 AD seemed to inherit the envy and jealousy towards women that was illustrated in the scene where Mary anointed Jesus's feet. And I'm going to read that to you because it's such a beautiful account. I'm reading from this book that I referenced earlier. It's called The Meaning of Mary Magdalene, Discovering the Woman at the Heart of Christianity, Cynthia Bourgo. And this is from page 20. And it's from Luke 7, 36 through 47. Okay, y'all all right? One of the Pharisees asked Jesus to share his meal. So he went to the Pharisee's home and, as usual, reclined on the couch to eat. They make it sound so casual. Reclined on the couch, he sat down to eat, okay? And it happened that a woman of this town, who was known as a sinner, heard that he was in the Pharisee's house. She brought a precious jar of perfume and stood behind him at his feet, weeping. She wet his feet with tears She dried them with her hair and kissed his feet and poured the perfume on them. The Pharisee who had invited Jesus was watching and thought, if this man were a prophet, he would know what sort of person is touching him. Isn't this woman a sinner? Then Jesus spoke to the Pharisee. Y'all missed that, right? Check this out. The Pharisee had invited Jesus, who invited him, was watching, and he thought this. In his head, he said, if this man was a prophet, he would know what sort of woman is, or what sort of person is touching him. Isn't this woman a sinner? He said this in his head. Then Jesus spoke to the Pharisee and said, Simon, I have something to ask you. 2 people were in debt to the same creditor. One owed him 500 silver coins and the other 50. As they were both unable to pay him back, he graciously canceled the debts of both. Now, which one will love him more? Simon answered, the one, I suppose, who was forgiven more. And Jesus said, you are right. Do you see this woman? Jesus said, do you see this woman? You gave me no water for my feet when I came in your house. But she has washed my feet with her tears and dried them with her hair. You didn't welcome me with a kiss, but she has not stopped kissing my feet since she came in the door. I'm adding a little bit, right? You provided me no oil for my head, but she has poured perfume on my feet. This is why I tell you her sins, her many sins, are forgiven because of her great love. But the one who is forgiven little has little to love. Come on now. I'm going to go to commercial. I'm going to let y'all soak that in, because they talked about the sister being a sinner, even despised her, almost painted her as a lowlife. And they probably would have kicked her out the house if it wasn't for Jesus. They probably would have slapped her down and said, don't touch him, because she was a so-called sinner. But Jesus forgave her of her sins. That's a whole nother subject. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. We're back. You're tuned into the Saturday morning coffee talk. And today we're talking about our sister Mary Magdalene. And the goal is to take some of the dirt off of her name and uplift her soul in our spirits. Now, the town by which Sister Mary is identified is a town called Magdala. Type Magdala in the chat, Magdala. It is along the Sea of Galilee. It was a fishing village. It was visited by Jesus, who preached there. Magdala is the same many ancient documents referred to as Terrace. This is important because Sister Mary came from a region that was a hotbed for revolts. Magdala, like many other cities, was a town that strongly resisted Roman brutality. I hope this is sounding familiar to you. The people of sin, the women of sin, the brutality of the Romans. The brutality of the Roman Empire was violent and oppressive. Rome's economy depended on slaves to till the fields and work as craftsmen. Rome had expanded quickly by force and spent more than it had on fighting wars. The government of Rome was politically corrupt, oppressive, and unstable. This is the environment that Sister Mary grew up in. She wasn't much different from you and I. It can be difficult for you and I to envision her surroundings and to empathize with her longing for a Savior. She is said to have been very demon possessed. I want you to go back and read Luke chapter 8, verses 1 through 3. She lived under brutality and trauma just like us. She probably had PTSD like us. She longed for a Savior just like us. She needed help. She was spiritually ill just like us. This is a time where every illness was described based on religion or spirituality. People just didn't walk around getting sick back then. They didn't say, oh, you got cancer, or oh, you got this, or oh, you got that. If you had a disease like lepers, they called you that, so-and-so, the leper. But in an oppressive environment where in order to control the people, they had to be robbed of the knowledge of self, robbed of their names, and forced into certain behaviors that caused them to act other than themselves. The effects of being other than yourself would have been considered a demon. See, today we say, oh, that's diabetes, or oh, that's such and such. But back then it was considered a demon. And it really should still be considered a demon today, in my opinion. Much of how we act as a result of being robbed of the knowledge of self is demonic and uncivilized. The first thing the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us was the knowledge of self. He told us who we are and whose we are, and then told us to accept our own and be ourselves. He began a series of lifestyle changes and lessons that teach us how to live and be our righteous selves. He cast out the demons that are in us because we don't know how to live. The concept of the 7 demons is an interesting one. Okay. Y'all all right? Yeah, the concept of the 7 demons is an interesting one because 7 is the number of completion in ancient Hebrew. Could it be that Jesus' teaching was so complete that it ended the spiritual disease that Mary suffered from? Could it be that his teachings were so complete that the gospel or good news that he taught, one could be complete, that with the gospel or good news he taught, you could be completely healed and resurrected? Think over it. Y'all ain't ready for this, but Jesus was one who submitted his will to do the will of God. What is that? What is he? He was in complete submission to God. So much so, he began to take on the characteristics of God. He walked like God. He talked like God. His word was transformation. He was one who submitted his will to do the will of God. He was so much like God that they called him and referred to him as the Son of God. He was just like God because he was in total and complete submission. He even told us to pray like this: thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's submission. This type of teaching can cast out all demons and be a balm for those who live under oppression. No wonder Sister Mary said, I too am of those who submit. Now check this out for this rumor. There is absolutely no biblical reason to believe that she was a prostitute. This lie was told on her in 591 AD by Pope Gregory I. He lied. There's all kind of scholars that talked about how he just lied and made this up. His whole problem was that he did not see a woman being worthy of being a key witness or a disciple of Jesus. He didn't want women to mount the rostrum. There's one scholar that said that. He said, well, if they can be a disciple and they can get on the rostrum and they can become a bishop, then what stops them from becoming a pope? And he didn't want that. He didn't want to recognize women as prophets and carriers of the word of God. So he erased the history of one of the leading people of Jesus' time, who happened to be a woman by the name of Mary Magdalene. This is a practice that is maintained to this day. Erase the history so that the people don't know who they are. Write that significant person out of history so that those who come after them will not look up to them and be inspired by their accomplishments. You won't connect to their energy because we're going to make sure you don't even know them. Get rid of the memory of them. And in the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in reference to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, liquidate them. Hide the history. Erase it. Y'all know this is why I'm so committed to the preservation of our history. We need examples. We need to be able to find ourselves in history. This is why I'm so committed to preserving the history of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because if they can erase it or rewrite it, they will remove the ability of the teachings to resurrect the mentally dead. They'll say erase it, rewrite it, repackage. I've heard it all. They threw away the Gospels of Mary Magdalene. They buried the town of Magdala where she was born. It was literally just excavated in 2006. Study Magdala and the symbols. Go to YouTube and Google the Temple of Magdala and take a look at its significance as it relates to you and I today. Some scholars say that it was at the Temple of Magdala where Jesus flipped over the tables of the money changers, indicating the need for a new way of doing business. What are we doing today in our community? We're flipping over the tables of the money changers and we're saying, buy black Muslim, support your own, do for self. There are parallels to the shape of the lot of the Temple of Magdala and the lot shape of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad house. Y'all didn't hear me. Go look at it for yourself and see that you and I are walking through the volume of the book. So we started this talking about the importance of the woman to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I want to thank you. Yes, thank you. I want to share with you all a beautiful video by our beloved mother, Sajdah Muhammad. And I'm going to pull it up and I want to make sure that I start it in the right place because it's kind of long. So let me make sure I got it here. Let's see. We want to start it at...
To form a convention.
We're going to start it at 14 minutes. That's where we'll start it. And we'll just listen to a few minutes of it. But I want you all to just listen to our beloved mother as she talks about the woman in Islam and why it is so important for us to understand as women who we are. And it'll help you see why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was attacked and lied upon about treatment of women because of all the beautiful teachings that he gave us about women. So Mother Sajdah Muhammad is going to talk to us about that. So check this out.
Please be seated. In the most holy name of Allah, the all-wise, true, and living God, to whom praise is due forever, for coming to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, the great Mahdi, journeying from far distant land of Mecca in the Arabian Peninsula, but making stops all around the world, making friendship and planting seeds that on this day and in this new coming dispensation, we would be received as brothers and sisters of the new rising star nation of Islam in the West. We thank him for his love for us, where nobody wanted us. He raised one, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, as the exalted Christ and Messiah that the entire world has been waiting for. And we thank him for his prayer, for his mercy, to keep one with us who is shining that great torch of righteousness and truth throughout the entire world, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet you again, my dear beloved, almost sisters, I see, beautiful, beautiful. With the greetings of peace, Assalamu alaikum. I give thanks to Almighty God Allah for having guided us to reach this moment in our history. This is the September 9, or rather the September the month, and the 11th day. It is not a coincidence that recently we discovered in some of the table talks of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that on this day, September the 11th, 1973, he spoke to a gathering of MGT officials called captains and began to visualize and to tell the future of what he saw coming to pass with the women in the Nation of Islam. He saw, according to these footnotes that Brother Rahman discovered, and they were given copies to myself, to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, speaking about how we would come together in large numbers to form a convention of women, thousands and thousands together. So we thank the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and those who worked with him to make possible this vanguard retreat. So the great responsibility of raising our young women as the leaders of the new world order, walking beside our men, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that he could make us so beautiful and so well trained that he could send us out to the world in committees with that training, and the world's attention would be on our women, whether it was in China, these are his words from those table talks, or any part of the world, and the people would come and say, who is this? And want to know, where did we come from? And they would recognize us by our expression of love and joy, etiquette, cleanliness, good manners, having the knowledge like a bright star in our heads, which we wear symbolically. But as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan pointed out to us at the farm, everybody who was at the farm know that he lit it up so that we know what our responsibilities are. And he saw that we would be in diplomatic groups, that we would be in parliamentary activity, that we would be attending conferences, and that the world's attention would be focused on this new rising star. So I thank the Honorable Minister Farrakhan for trusting me to make journeys throughout the world in his company or without his company, and trusting that the divine word of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would be carried to those who are just coming into the knowledge of the nation. And that our women, we are the key, he has said. This is the field for the birthing of that new world order, that men cannot make it by themselves. It takes a strong, valiant, courageous woman, morally fit to become that new woman, that new queen, that new goddess of a new world order. So I am so happy, as I have progressed some 54 years since I was 16 years old in Detroit, Michigan, that I should still be alive and be able to look out at this flowing audience that is magnified throughout the nation on this beautiful day. I wish to close with something that I think is extremely important as our minister is preparing to bring us further in the evolution of the beauty and the nature of the woman and why her role is so important. This article was written May 14 on Mother's Day in the year 2002 by the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, called Heaven Lies at the Foot of Mother. And I'm quoting this because it is so applicable to what we learned yesterday from the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. The value of virtuous woman more than the value of the wealth of the earth. But the female and the value of her as a virtuous woman has been devalued by the societies of the earth. To devalue the currency of any nation weakens that nation financially. When the price of gold as a standard of value goes down, then we cannot purchase what we could at the rate when gold had a higher value. The devaluation of the female and the devaluation of virtue in the society has caused us to live on a plane that is far beneath that which we are capable of. This is why every religion and every society must reevaluate how we look at the females in our society. To think of her as only being valuable for procreation and pleasure is devaluing her. To think of her as not being talented or gifted, that she may be an equal sharer in the development of the society, nation, or civilization, is to devalue her. To make her a sex symbol is to devalue her. To show her off before the world in an indecent manner is to devalue her. Rubies have no consciousness and do not know of their value. Neither do diamonds, sapphires, and emeralds. It is we who place a value on these stones. In this world, the man has not given or placed a proper value on the female, and thus, because of this, has caused the female to devalue herself. The behavior of our women and our girls demonstrates the thinking of a devalued human. For women to accept to be displayed or kept in an inferior status is to accept the devaluation of herself by the men of the world. Heaven lies at the foot of Mother. So as you are so beautiful in outward appearance, let us shine up the inside of the house. Let our hearts be as beautiful or more beautiful than our outside appearance, and walk with our men into heavenly paradise, the life of the hereafter. And oh, I thank you. I looked out, my vision is sometimes a little cloudy, but when I see Mother Khadija, all I can do is smile and thank Allah for her. Thank you. Wow. And it was Mother Khadija who first saw me coming into the Nation of Islam when I was accepting my ex in Detroit, Michigan. She was at the mosque on that day, and I didn't know her, and I didn't know her husband, and they didn't know their future, but now their future is being fulfilled right in our presence today. Thank you, Mother Khadija. And of course, Sister Betsy Jean, who so beautifully welcomed us at the farm yesterday. I wish to acknowledge such a beautiful woman. Thank you. Sister Karima, And Sister Karen, thank you so much, all of you. I love you, I hug you, and wish for you the greatest future. You are the new leaders of the Nation of Islam. Assalamu alaikum.
Was that beautiful or what? Long live Mother Tynetta Muhammad. Happy born day to Sister Karen Farrakhan. Everybody, let's send Karen some energy. Type in the chat, happy born day, Sister Karen. She looks so beautiful sitting there next to Sister Karima. I was going to go into and dissect the Gospel of Mary Magdalene because they uncovered some of her words, but we don't have time today. So I'll end with this. I want you to remember the importance of the promise while you are going through the process. He promised us money, good homes, friendships, and all walks of life. Don't forget the promise as you go through the process. I personally accept that promise and thank him for that promise. I accept the promise of being made into a God in the image and likeness of Almighty God, Allah. I'm grateful to be who and what I am today. I'm grateful to everyone I have soldiered with. I'm grateful to my parents and to my family and to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for being my spiritual father. I do this for our fallen soldiers. May Allah be pleased with them. I do this for those who have fallen ill and can't march anymore, but whose shoulders we all stand on. Many of those soldiers have passed on, and many are still living. Some are just unable to march on, but they stand in their faith, serving as the foundation on which we stand. Sometimes we remember our ancestors. When we remember our ancestors, we forget about these people. I'm also so grateful for my ancestors. I am grateful for your ancestors. When we think of our ancestors, let's not stop at slavery. Let's think about sisters like Mary Magdalene, and let's do our part so we aren't written out of history. We are an ancient and beautiful people. We can trace our history back over 66 trillion years. You are not limited to the history of the last 6,000 years. You and I have the potential to master the cosmos and create a new world. Let's be intentional about how we conduct ourselves and be examples of civilized men and women who can take a seat at any table. We have the historical makeup to be an example of people around the world. Our circumstances, although they have been very painful, and in many cases remain painful, they make us beautiful examples of the presence and power of Almighty God, Allah. When you become a sponsor, for example, of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you get a beautiful statue of Sister Mary Magdalene. Let's see, you can see it right here. Because that's an example of what we want to live, that commitment, that discipleship, right? So thank you. I hope we got some study things out of, yes, thank you. Happy born day, Sister Karen. Thank you for all of you all. Put some love in here for Sister Karen. Happy born day. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sister Charlene. Oh, thank you so much. So praise be to Allah. How many of y'all felt a little bit of the spirit of Mary Magdalene? How many of you felt like you got to know her a little bit? We got a few minutes left. I want you to type in the chat if you felt like you got to know her a little bit through this talk today, a little better and maybe in a different light. And did we dust some of the dirt off of her name, some of the slander that was initiated, not just by Pope Paul, but Pope Gregory or whatever his name was, but it went back before then, because remember the man in the house was like, ugh, do he know who this is touching him? Ugh. But I pray that you all feel like we got to know her a little bit better, okay? And she can become a prototype for us, which is not what was intended. Use the barcode over here in the corner to book your tour. They start this coming Friday. The tour of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. We're going to have some tours and fundraising events for the month of July. We have one tour set up during the National Training Conference. So if you'll be here for that, I suggest you jump out there and book them now. But they start this coming Friday, and you can use the QR code. If you also want to support, make a donation, you can go to SajdahHouseDonations.com. If you don't want to use your credit card, you can Cash App us at $Motoday, MOETODAY. And we still have some commemorative Elijah coins left. This is the membership coin. And we started really diving in deeply into designing out that membership model and the app this week. So membership will have its privileges. Okay, praise be to Allah. Sister Alicia said, good teaching. I missed the beginning, so I'll rewatch. Thank you. And share it with somebody. And everybody here, make sure you like and subscribe. Yeah, you don't want to miss the tour. Thank you, Sister Charlene. Sister Sandra, thank you, thank you, thank you. Mom says she loved the coffee talk. And Brother Lamont said that he feel like he understands and knows her a lot better and why she was slandered. Yeah. All right, family. Happy Saturday. Love you all. Peace and blessings. Don't hang up when I go because I got a few commercials to show you, and we'll chat soon. Peace and blessings. Oh, this Thursday, who do we have on the Mind of an Entrepreneur show? Then we got Imani's bean pie. So we're going to talk to Sister Imani about her bean pies. I think that's who it is. Oh. And when you come to the tour, you're going to get some Sajdah bean pie ice cream. I met with Sean Michelle's the other day, and we're going to order. So that's why I need y'all to go ahead and book your tour. Start this Friday so we can order the ice cream and have it for you. But we're going to give you a little treat on your way out the door. All right? Peace and blessings, family. Love you all. Happy Saturday. Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. Add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show to your Roku TV lineup and catch up on past episodes of all your favorite Mo Today shows.